Look, I try to fly the flag for low-budget British film on the theory that if I don't see and review these things, then no one else is going to, and I have turned up the occasional gem, see Invasion Planet Earth if you haven't done so already. Other times I turn up Solar Impact, or Solar Impact: The Destruction of London! If you want to get formal. London doesn't get destroyed. Also, whoever wrote the tagline, I'm not sure. It's on the bottom half of the poster, so I assume it is, but instead of having it from a rent-a-quote, it's just a couple of words at the bottom of the poster. And to whoever wrote Deep Impact meets 28 Days Later, can you check that your DVDs have the official seals on them and you didn't accidentally buy the knockoff versions from some bloke down the pub? Or does that only happen where I live? Anyway, Solar Impact: The Destruction of London is directed by someone so incompetent that his name, Tudley James, doesn't feature on this film's IMDb page. Yeah, the writer's there, his mates who are on screen / the actors are there, but he's not. That's right, on this film's IMDb page, this film apparently had no director, but it did have a writer, which means someone actually wrote the lines of dialogue down and they weren't improvised on the spot. I'll just assume he was paid less than my script guy and therefore decided not to bring his Z game that day. Anyway, Solar Impact: The Destruction of London actually has a pretty interesting idea for a horror movie. After solar debris crashes down to Earth, causing widespread destruction and unleashing solar radiation around the world, as genetic mutations rapidly spread, a group of friends must fight to stay alive and escape the chaos. Now just ignore any scientists / astrophysicists having nervous breakdowns in the corner and imagine what you could do with that. People affected by the solar radiation being affected differently. Some turning into that guy from the end of the original RoboCop, some being on fire, others being affected like that episode of Doctor Who with the living sun, it's Doctor Who, don't ask, where people had burning eyes that could kill you with a look and a hug. Who does who? We don't ask questions. You could also keep the sun burning alive or mutating anyone that goes outside, forcing our survivors to keep to the dark for their very lives whilst being relentlessly hunted by people twisted into horrifying monstrosities. And with the low / no budget, there's going to be no terrible CGI. There's going to be terrible acting, shot compositions, dialogue, characterization, stunts, a mere 82-minute runtime and a complete lack of a plot because Solar Impact: The Destruction of London is a bog-standard, generic, near-unwatchable zombie film. The sun is not an additional threat. The affected do not get solar powers, they just turn into your bog-standard Romero zombies complete with bite-transferable infection, which makes no sense from the point of view of the story. This isn't a viral zombie outbreak, it's solar radiation caused mutations, which is bite-transferable? Whatever works for you, Tudley, but if you wanted a zombie film, then just make a zombie film. Don't tease me with the promise of the sun destroying London and mutations crawling over the remains picking off the survivors. Or if you wanted to make a solar-powered zombie film, then have it so that the infected turn survivors into zombies like them by dragging them into the daylight to be mutated like them. Instead, you could remove the solar aspect completely and nothing would change. Also, this film is just ugly to look at. It's dull and uninteresting, as if the film was filmed with a grey filter and as a result everything looks washed out. Maybe they were going for a realistic, gritty feel to the film, but they didn't pull it off in any way, shape or form. And it's not like this film has any interesting, compelling, well-written characters to fall back on. They're all dull. None of them do anything distinguishing or interesting. I didn't catch anyone's name, and IMDb only has 3 named characters, so I guess it wasn't high up anyone's to-do list either. So most of the dull, washed-out pieces of cardboard wandering around set exist purely to die in underwhelming death scenes because I didn't care about any of them. Must I give the film credit for staying mobile and not descending into a siege film as so many zombie films do, but the episodic nature of the film soon starts to grate, and there doesn't seem to be any overarching goal. Normally in a film like this, our survivors are trying to get somewhere against a ticking clock. For example, the Navy is waiting at Portsmouth docks until 6 AM tomorrow morning. If you're not there, then they're not waiting. But there's none of that here. I know it sounds churlish, but our survivors are just trying to survive, and whilst that'll do you for a pinch, the lack of a long-term goal is just another problem for this film to overcome. And it just can't. Solar Impact: The Destruction of London just has way too many issues. Even if its script, one of the bedrocks of any film, was impactful and heartbreaking, which it really isn't. I mean, the original idea was solid and unique for a horror film. Just bursting with potential, but they just squandered it for an 82-minute pile of nothing. Solar Impact: The Destruction of London! It is ugly to look at, for the boring characters who exist only to die. There's no real plot to speak of, it's really badly shot, and it's a laundry list of bad mistakes that could be pointed to as a whole and used as an example of what not to do. Look, in a world where Colin, on an alleged budget of £50, can take the zombie film to new highs, let alone Shaun of the Dead and Shed of the Dead, showing films like this can be funny and heartbreaking at the same time, nor does it have anything to say about the state of modern society as most good zombie films do. In short, Solar Impact: The Destruction of London! Is a bomb. Do not see this film under any circumstances, and this is the last time I trust my local Sainsbury's reduced shelf to give me good films to watch. But what do you guys think? And what is your worst zombie film? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been a Dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.